Welcome back to what is an overcast Okayama circuit. We are minutes away from our second race of the day today in Ferrari Challenge Japan. This is going to be the race for the Coppa Shell Am and the Trofeo 488 Challenge Evo classification. So we've split our grid in half, and that means I think that we could be in one of the most compelling races of the season so far in Ferrari Challenge Japan. Often, Coppa Shell Am is one of our most populated categories. It is also a category where there's always a lot of fun racing, but we don't often see all of it on the broadcast. We see the Hiroyasu Sahara, our pole sitter in the 116 Cornes Nagoya car, but we are going to get to see a bit of what's going on in Coppa Shell Am at the sharp end of a race for the first time. Typically, the Coppa Shell Am drivers are fighting on the fringes of the top 10 in Ferrari Challenge Japan, but we're really going to have the spotlight on them here, and no better time than now because, of course, we do have a championship on the line. You see there Yasuhito Fukue in second position in the 101 car. We'll keep an eye on his progress, but neither of our front row starters are drivers that really are in the points consideration. That car, the 139 Alex Fox, is your championship leader at this juncture. The 139 car on 68 points. The Frenchman taking a pair of victories in the last 3 starts. Unfortunately, his most recent start resulted in a DNF in race 2 at our second visit to the Fuji Speedway. But he still leads the points on 68. However, just 4 points back from him, both Masaharu Katsumata and Hiroyuki Katayama, both on 64 points apiece. Those two will be looking to try and usurp the Frenchman here in the Coppa Shell Am division. It's also worth keeping an eye on Yuliang Chen as well, also very much in the championship contendership on 59 points, 8 back from the championship lead. So a very compelling scenario here in terms of the championship. You see there the fairly warm conditions we've been greeted with here, a muggy day as opposed to a traditional idyllic summer's day, but all the same, high temperatures. These Ferrari 296 Challenge cars, one of many benefits that came with the move from the 488 Challenge Evo for the 296 was an improved air conditioning system. The drivers made a lot of noise about how much better that was when this car was introduced. Of course, we do still have 488 Challenge Evos on the grid as well. You can see a couple of them there on the back couple of rows, and there is a championship to be decided there as well. Just the 2 cars in the 488 class for this weekend, but they are the top 2 in the championship. Michito Hirota is on 41 points. Yosuke Yamaki is on 72. Now, Yosuke, 31 points clear, really just needs to do something in this race, just get across the line, and he will be the champion in the 488 division. But things are a lot closer and a lot harder fought in the Coppa Shell Am classification. And they will be fighting for overall glory this time around. Expecting this to be the pattern in future for Ferrari Challenge Japan. The grids have been growing. We've reached highs of 35 in terms of entries this season. It does look as though in future we may well be going down this split grid route, which of course is great for all parties and indeed very exciting for us as well, because we get more Ferrari Challenge Japan racing action. The cars head off on the formation lap. You saw the wet race display being put up. Now, the best of my knowledge, everyone's on slicks. The track looks dry. I think it's more a precautionary measure that in the event of rain, they are able to come into the pits and change tyres, etc., etc. It's not out of the question that the rain may hit us during the race, so they're going off the radar and declaring it a wet race as a bit of a presumptuous matter. Now, they did do that before the previous race as well, and there was no rainfall, so by no means are we guaranteed rain, but there is some in the rough area of Okayama. Hiroyasu Sahara and Yasuhito Fukue then are top two on the grid today. Yoshifumi Komatsu and Takeshi Shigaki on row 2. Then it's our championship leader, Alex Fox, alongside John Leo, who's looking good there in 6th position. Keep an eye on the back of the grid, though. Liang Chen, or Liang Chen Yu, I should say, in 11th position, has got some work to do from back there. He's going to be moving forward through the order, I suspect, and will need to in order to challenge for the championship going forward. We'll need some points on the board. We have 10 cars here that are running in the Coppa Shell AM division, and only the top 8 score points. So for Liang Chen Yu, it is going to be imperative that he moves up through the field. We're on the formation lap then. Soon they will be going 2 by 2. Keep an eye on Alex Fox, the championship leader. He needs a good race here today. We'll ideally like to outscore both Masaharu Katsumata and Hiroyuki Katayama. And in the case of Katayama, will be fairly straightforward because he sadly isn't with us today. So the real battle in the championship will be between Masaharu Katsumata and Alex Fox, with Liang Chen Yu as well. But Hiroyuki Katayama, of course, isn't here today, so we'll have to hopefully see him make another bid next year. Here we go. Race start coming up. So then they're in 2 by 2 formation. Alex Fox lurking on row 3 of the grid. But at the front of the field there, on the inside line, and well, actually cutting to the outside there, is Hiroyasu Sahara with a comfortable run through the first corner, as our race leader was strong in qualifying earlier. Will have good pace by the looks of it and leads the way comfortably in the early stages. Quite a few red cars here at the front of the order. I believe that is still our 101 car there in second place. Having a little look to the inside there was Yasuhito Fukue. Oh, the 118, Satoru Kako, has had a moment there at turn 2 that gets the car back underway. Looks like everyone else is relatively unscathed, although there is a big gap there in the midfield that makes me think maybe the 118 car wasn't unassisted in his off. We see there Alex Fox running 4th position, I make that. Yep, 4th place for him. So Sahara leading from Fukue, from Komatsu, from Alex Fox. Now Komatsu in the 1-2-3 car. Oh, the 201 has had a bit of a moment as well. That's Hirota, who is the only driver other than our points leader Yamaki in the 488 class, was leading the class through the first couple of sector splits, but now falls back further. Unfortunately, John Leo has had a moment as well on the first lap. We saw Kako in the 118 off the circuit, but John Leo's down to 12th place, which is a big shame because he was running, or was set to start, in a very strong 3rd row position. I was excited to see his potential progress, but it doesn't look like all things are well with that car. front of the field, though. Sahara doesn't appear to be having it all his own way. We've already seen Fukuei having a bit of a look to the inside here at turn 4, and he dutifully shows the nose again. There is Liang Chenyu running 7th overall, 4 places up on the first lap, and the same applies to Masaharu Katsumata ahead of him. Katsumata, who of course is the primary challenger here in the championship, running 6th overall versus Alex Fox in 4th, and then their other mathematical competition, Liang Chenyu behind Katsumata in 7th. There they are. Katsumata followed by Liang Chenyu. Both drivers within 10 points of our leader, Alex Fox. And there, unfortunately, is the Cornish Shiba 108 car of John Leo. Gorgeous livery, very well turned out car, but unfortunately I don't think we're going to see terribly much more of it in this race. So at the front of the order, Sahara is just over a second clear. Running nicely at the front of the field. Fukuei was quicker through the final split, but we see there the fastest lap going to Hiroyasu Sahara. It seems as though Sahara has a little bit more pace, perhaps through the middle sector. And look at that, Takashi Kurakawa with the fastest lap, running 8th overall and quite a way off the top 7. I think was caught up in whatever happened to Satoru Kako on lap 1. He is, however, catching up and going quickly, so we'll see if he can get involved in the overall points battle, or in the overall race battle, I should say. Alex Fox measuring up Yoshifumi Komatsu here for 3rd place as we get a look back here at the race start. Fairly procedural launch for Hiroyasu Sahara, just had the lead into turn 1, could sweep across the front end of Yasuhito Fukuei. And Yoshifumi Komatsu, who was certainly trying to look to the inside. I didn't spot that in the initial moment. So we saw there Alex Fox really brave to the inside, brave and brazen, I would say, from the 3rd row of the grid, and thankfully his nose wasn't chopped off for his troubles. Alex Fox, who has plenty of experience here in Ferrari Challenge on a global basis, coming into Ferrari Challenge Japan this year, taking on a new frontier, learning some new tracks, and has been a part of Ferrari Challenge since 2019. Was the 2020 Coppa Am champion in Ferrari Challenge Europe, so he could be, if he stays in that championship lead position, about to become a Coppa Am champion on 2 continents. Of course, with a 4-point lead, it's unlikely to happen in this race. It would go down to Sunday, unless there are dramas for both Katsumata and Liang Chenyu. We watch Liang Chenyu there in the distinctive blue and white colours. Lovely car, very well turned out machine. The Rossa Scuderia car, driven by the Chinese competitor, who has a little look to the inside there at Katsumata. Takeshi Shigaki, I think, is just keeping his lines tidy, not really bowing to the pressure to defend against Katsumata, keeping himself focused on the task at hand. While Katsumata looks a bit more lively, he's sometimes on the offensive, sometimes on the defensive, depending on Liang Chenyu's progress. Takashi Kurakawa still closing in on them, incidentally, in 8th position, homing in only 1.1 seconds back from Liang Chenyu now, so having briefly had a time period where Liang could focus forward, he may have to watch his mirrors a little bit. I understand that there's some oil down and potentially some gravel down at turn 10, but they're displaying the oil flag, as it's called on the timing screen, which is the slippery surface red and yellow flag at turn 10, because there is some gravel on the circuit. In the 488 division, it is Yusuke Yamaki who still leads the way and has tumbled somewhat off the 296 pack at this stage, as one may expect, given the power and downforce advantage of the 296s. Looked to me like we had a move on, well, not quite a move, but certainly some battling going on there between Komatsu and Alex Fox for third and fourth position. Komatsu feeling the pressure from our championship leader. As it stands, Alex Fox's 4-point championship lead will increase, but he wants a podium. He's looking to the inside at turn 1. Very, very brave. He's got the nose there, but he's not quite far enough alongside to really make a bid for third place. But clearly, he feels he's got the pace advantage here over Yoshifumi Komatsu. Drops off a little bit, a couple of car lengths in favour of Komatsu now. But Alex Fox wants that podium, and of course, with a podium, third place for him. Katsumata and Liang Chenyu is championship rivals, 6th and 7th respectively at the moment. He would gain 10 points in the championship if he were to move to third, whereas they would be scoring 4 and 2 points respectively, which would bolster Fox's chances going into the finale. It wouldn't win in the championship. Oh, we've had a moment seemingly there for Yasuhito Fukue. The 101 car seemingly found the barriers as the safety car has unsurprisingly been deployed here. In fact, my apologies, that was our race leader. That was Hiroyasu Sahara into the barriers. So Sahara, the cause of the safety car. Yasuhito Fukue has inherited the race lead. So Fukue continues. And is now the leader. Alex Fox into third. Yoshifumi Komatsu, of course, into second. But the safety car is out. And in fact, the red flag is out, and that makes sense. Given the magnitude of the impact there, one can imagine that there will need to be some investigation just to make sure barriers and such are in position. The cars, rather the drivers, have been instructed to make their way to the pits and park up in the fast lane of the pit lane and then await further instruction. So we're just over 1/3 distance in the race at the time that the red flag was called. All being well, I would certainly expect the race to be resumed. It will be slightly delayed for the time being with the red flag out. Yasuhito Fukue will resume or assume the lead of the race. Yoshifumi Komatsu, Alex Fox, Takeshi Shigaki, Liang Chenyu, Masaharu Katsunata, your top half dozen. Then Takashi Kurakawa, Satoru Kako, and Yusuke Yamaki, the 488 challenge leader. The remainder of your order for now. There is Yamaki going through shot there in his 488. Currently on course to confirm that championship in this race. Cars slowly being ushered through the scene of the incident, of course. Lots of debris down. Yasuhito Fukue then was initially challenging for that race lead. Had rather settled into second place per the timing screen. Oh, we've had one car miss pit entry, unfortunately. I think that might have been, was that Shigaki? But they'll resolve that as soon as possible. The other cars following the instruction to head toward the fast lane of the pits. Ferrari 296 challenge car. Very, very capable machine. This is the most tight and twisting circuit that we've visited with this car since it arrived on these shores in Japan for this season. Of course, Suzuka, very technical and challenging in its own right, but largely more open as a circuit than Okayama in terms of the layout and the corner profiles. We had that double visit as well, of course, to Fuji Speedway, the famed main straight at Fuji. A great opportunity for these cars to stretch their legs, and that's exactly what they did. Glancing over 300 kilometers an hour on that main straight. Of course, our second round of the season at Autopolis. Another fairly technical circuit. But I'd argue that Okayama, the biggest test of low gear traction and mechanical grip that we've had this season. The 296 challenge car is wider than the 488, as well as having more power and downforce, so the mechanical grip a step forward as well. There's the 118 car of Satoru Kako, the red and blue machine. That particular hue of blue alongside red kind of reminds me of some of the master car Ferrari 360s that were a fairly familiar sight in the Daytona 24 Hours, the FIA GT Championship in the early to mid 2000s. Quite how far we've come since then. Those days of the Ferrari 360 challenge car in the various global championships for Ferrari Challenge. You may recall that 360 challenge car looked for every bit like a production car. No particular aerodynamic appendages or anything of that nature. The 360 Challenge Stradale, of course, was really quite an echo of the 360 Challenge car itself. We've taken big steps forward since then with the machinery offered in Ferrari Challenge. Ferrari Challenge cars have always been really quite elegant and sophisticated, but these steps in downforce and power that we now have with the 296 Challenge car are quite something. I think that's Takashi Kurakawa there being pushed back into pits. That'll be the car that missed the memo and heading back into pit lane. The 296 Challenge car with 700 horsepower, with incredibly impressive capabilities in terms of cornering and braking as well. 870 kilos of downforce registered at 250 kilometers an hour, which in old money I think is around 150 miles an hour. So more downforce than any of its Ferrari Challenge predecessors. Great CCMR plus brake discs as well, which are utilized by a brake-by-wire system. A brake-by-wire system that you'll also find in a slightly different configuration in the on the 296 GTB, the safety car that you see there at the front of the queue. Of course, the other key difference, aside from the aero and the slick tyres compared to the Challenge car and the 296, is the fact that there's no hybrid on these 296 Challenge cars. As we get another look here at the start of the race, which really was absolutely to procedure for Hiroyasu Sahara. Could take the proper racing line, the proper approach to the first corner. And was picking the bones fairly considerately through the first turns. We did have something amiss at turn 2, of course, which is how Satoru Kako ended up falling down the order. We saw at the front of the pack that Hiroyasu Sahara did seem to have the measure in the early stages of the race and continued to lead until this incident down in the final third of the lap. Didn't look like any other cars were involved. There's certainly no damage on Yasuhito Fukue, just proving that even though he'd been leading from the start, certainly pushing on, and we hope all is okay there. But in terms of the race getting resumed, there's no current indication as to when. We are just a few minutes past 3 o'clock local time here in Okayama, so we've got plenty of time. Not sure of the exact curfew for the circuit, but I don't think we're anywhere near it just yet. One point of interest might be those clouds in the back of shot, because of course we alluded to the race being declared wet. We saw the race being declared wet, which again I think largely procedural to make sure that if it does start raining they can switch to wets. Strictly, you're not supposed to change tyres, of course, in a Ferrari Challenge race, but if there is a, shall we say, climate issue, if it does start to rain, then that changes things, and the race being declared wet simply allows them to switch their tyres should they need to. I thought we were going to miss anything that's on the radar, but those clouds rolling in may be a factor, depending on how long this delay is. Getting a look there at the 101 car of Yasuhito Fukue. And Yoshifumi Komatsu's car, the 123 machine. One of the cars from the Nicole Competizione stable. Of course, all teams or all cars in this series are entered by dealership groups, and there is a dealer championship to consider as well. Nicole Competizione currently 4th in those standings. Coming into this weekend, it was very close in the dealership considerations. M Auto Italia on 127 points. Their efforts bolstered by the young upstart Sotomuto. But just 2 points back from them on 125. Cornes Shiba, and a further 2 points back from them, Cornes Osaka. So 4 points in it among 3 teams in the Coppa dealer standings. Just getting this up-close look here at the rear of the 123 car, something I've never really considered before. There's a little bit of F50 at the back of a 296, isn't there? Just a little echo back to Ferrari's hypercar of the 90s, with that fairly wide rear opening. A little bit of F50 in there if you squint. Of course, that F50 was powered by a derivative of the 3.5 litre V12 F1 engine. Was of course bored out and, should we say, sanitized for the road. And the upcoming Ferrari hypercar, the F80. I'm sure a few of our drivers here in Ferrari Challenge Japan will be adding one of those to the collection. I've spoken to a few of the Challenge UK drivers recently who are eagerly anticipating the arrival of their F80. I think the F80 is currently in build, and from what we've seen of the car so far, made its debut publicly, at least, in Imola last year for Finale Mondiali. And what we've seen so far suggests that the car will be the most impressive Ferrari road car to date. Of course, the Ferrari 296 Speciale was revealed earlier this year, which will take some influence from these Ferrari Challenge cars, as well as the highly successful 296 GT3, and I'm sure that in turn the Ferrari 296 race cars may inherit a little bit from the Speciale as well. Of course, there is a 296 GT3 Evo coming next year. And we saw an Evo for the 488 Challenge. I'm sure we'll see one for the 296 to come as well. Ferrari always looking for refinement and perfection in their engineering. And it's with the challenge cars, of course, multiple considerations at play. Yes, you always want to build the fastest race car you can, but it needs to be a race car that is fairly compliant, that allows drivers who maybe haven't done much racing before to utilize the significant performance potential. And we see that week in, week out across the world that Ferrari have very much succeeded in that task for the 296 Challenge. Very capable machine. As you can see, the clock still frozen at 19:39. We have received the bulletin that the race is due to restart at 3:20. That is a little over 8 minutes from now. So we're not going to be too far from a restart here. It will be Yasuhito Fukue that assumes the lead of the race once we return to safety car conditions. We'll go from red to a safety car, and then the safety car will peel into the pits to allow the racing to go green once again. For Fukue, I think the question is going to be, what can Yoshifumi Komatsu do? Komatsu had fallen back a few seconds from the top two prior to the red flag, so with a second chance, can Komatsu try and make a bid for the lead? And what about Alex Fox, now in third position? Fox, who has already won a few races this year. Now, we see there the tyres on the trolley, and are we seeing precipitation? I think we might be. It's certainly very overcast, and you can see there wet tyres just waiting by the 193 of Liang Chen Yu, because I think it's becoming a consideration. Are we definitely going out on slicks? The clouds and the heavens above maybe say no. Umbrellas up in the pit lane as well. And yeah, you can see rainfall there on the camera, so we may have to bolt on a fresh set of tyres. 5-minute delay has just been declared, so race restart at 25, and I think that's in part to allow everyone to get the right tyres on their cars, perhaps also to see whether this shower is only momentary. I'll tell you what, an immense challenge for our drivers if we end up on wet tyres by the restart, because normally, of course, if there is a change of weather in race or a change of conditions within your race, you get to feel that crossover, you get to feel the track evolving underneath you. The last thing these drivers were doing was pounding around on a dry circuit. After a 20-25 minute red flag, they head back out onto a wet circuit. That's a lot of adaptation that they have to make very quickly. You can see there the rain really hitting towards the top of the circuit. This camera at Hobbs Corner, the third last corner of the lap, and yeah, all across the circuit. This is the opposite end of the circuit at turn 4, known as Atwood Curve. It's quite clear that this rain isn't going anywhere. And nor, I suggest, is the slippery surface. I think, as much as they are stalling right now to see if they keep the slicks on the car, I frankly think they're going to need those wets, and it seems that the 101 crew agree. We saw the wheel gun being wielded there. So then the tyre change is ongoing down there. You can see the crew's hard at work, and again just a 5-minute tack on to the red flag here to make sure that everybody gets the tyres on, gets those wheels tightened. No need to rush excessively here. But it is still pandemonium down there, certainly. You can see some of the cars on their air jacks at the moment. I think some have taken the tyres off, but not put anything else back on yet, because, well, where are we going from here? Where's the weather going to go? Still got the umbrellas up in the pit lane, so I don't think we've had any changes in terms of the conditions. It's still, I think, raining on everyone's heads down there. The delay has actually been expanded to 10 minutes, so we're currently expecting a race restart at 3:30, so in about a dozen minutes' time. You see there the treaded tyres, the wet weather Pirelli P0s now on these cars. That's another big improvement to the package for the 296 Challenge car. I understand that these wet tyres are very capable in terms of performance and just how much water they're able to disperse. There's Liang Chenyu, as we say, coming into today, 9 points off of that championship leading car of Alex Fox. Now, I don't recall seeing the move made, but Liang Chenyu is now classified ahead of Masaharu Katsumata. So Liang Chenyu is now ahead of Katsumata, who of course is the closest challenger to Alex Fox in the championship. Fox on 68 points, 4 clear of Katsumata and Hiroyuki Katayama, who is absent for this weekend. But Fox and Katsumata, 4 points separated. Then Liang Chenyu on 59, 9 points back off the lead. Still very much a factor here, and the entire focus for the likes of Liang Chenyu will be on those points. Keeping the car clean, trying to gain positions to bolster that point score, but not at the expense of your ability to finish the race and thus your ability to score any points at all. For Alex Fox, though, he is currently in that third place with his rivals in 5th and 6th. It does mean that right now his 4-point lead will increase to 9 points, with Katsumata running 6th, and Liang Chenyu will shrink the gap to 3 points between himself and Katsumata. To briefly touch again on the 488 Challenge Evo considerations, those there's a title set to fall one way here with Yusuke Yamaki. "31 points clear, just needs to finish this race effectively. 17 points available each day in Ferrari Challenge. 1 point for fastest lap, 1 point for pole position coming into the race. With the lead currently exceeding 30 points, just a good score will do the trick here. You can see there the humidity at 64%, the air temp at 29 degrees Celsius. A fairly muggy day here. Not much in the way of wind, 0.4 kilometers an hour. It's a still day. But that does mean that potentially when the clouds hit, they stay in the area. Although it did look to me like maybe we'd lost the umbrellas down in the pit lane. There was a lot of scrambling going on as well. I just wonder whether maybe we're switching back. The circuit is looking fairly okay. There's no standing water to speak of. I wonder if maybe those that were on wets are thinking of going the other way. There's still some rain on the lens. There's definitely some moisture, but I think maybe some are wondering which tyres to start this on. It's going to depend how long the rain stays in the area. It's certainly a head scratcher that the teams have been presented with here. We're 6 minutes away from the pit lane opening and the race resuming. I believe just about everybody remains on wets, having all switched while they've been in the pit lane. I don't think anyone is scrambling back for the slicks as best I can see. But it is that very awkward halfway house weather, isn't it? We've had some rain. Now, what tyres are on the 193? Slicks. Okay. So the original set of tyres that were bolted to the car at the start are back on the 193, and I see behind him Katsumata's car is on air jacks. I think they have, yeah, they've all switched back to slick tyres, so I think maybe race control, in part delaying the race because they knew the shower was going to be brief, and it seems as though we've largely switched back to slick tyres. We did definitely see a few cars on the wets previously, and it seems as though we've universally switched back to the slicks and missed this brief shower. There you go, everyone at the sharp end on the slicks, and I think everybody in step here, all back onto the slick tyres, so. And the umbrellas, well, there's still an umbrella being utilised, I see, in the pit lane, but it seems as though it's just about stopped raining around the circuit. We've got a course car, shall we say, doing some investigations, seeing how it feels underfoot or under tyre, as it were. It certainly looks bordering on dry out there. Of course, they're running the course car around in part to make sure there are no nasty surprises, whether there was maybe a bit more rain towards the top of the circuit that would make it risky to go out on slicks, but it certainly looks like it's effectively dry after that brief precipitation earlier on. Of course, this Okayama circuit, formerly known as TI Ada, and is a former Formula One Grand Prix venue. You can get a look above here at the circuit. Tight and twisty, fairly undulating as well. It's a great challenge. Some good overtaking opportunities to be had at 4 and 5 and into turn 1 as well. But the circuit, almost want to call it relatively new, but it's been here for well over 30 years now, of course. Hosting Formula One in the early 90s. Has continued to be a mainstay of the racing calendars in Japan. It's including Ferrari Challenge Japan and also Super GT, Super Formula. Most major Japanese championships have and continue to set foot here to Okayama. Okayama also home to a very interesting few endurance races in the late 2000s as the attempts were made to bring Le Mans style racing here to Japan, with initially the Japanese Le Mans Challenge and then the Asian Le Mans Series. Okayama 1,000 kilometer race in 2009 featured the Pescarolos, the factory Aston Martins, and of course a good number of local teams as well. The famed Jim Gaynor team, that long-standing partner of Ferrari, represented in the GT2 class on that weekend here at Okayama, 16 years ago now. Many times we've seen Ferraris on the top step in major competitions here, and of course it is a mainstay on the calendar for Ferrari Challenge Japan. Looks like Liang Chenyu there, just struggling to... Is he struggling to get off the line, or was he told to allow Masaharu Katsumata by? I suspect it may have been the latter. We see there the car that missed its cue to come in earlier on. That's Takeshi Shigaki dropping down to the rear of the field. Of course, when everyone was ushered towards the pit lane, this car didn't head to the pit lane, so it's dropped down to the rear of the field as a result of that. And so that means that our championship top three are now running in championship order in third, fourth, and fifth. Our championship leader, Alex Fox, runs third in the queue there behind Yoshifumi Komatsu and race leader Yasuhito Fukue. But Fox is now directly followed by Masaharu Katsumata and Liang Chenyu, his rivals here in the championship fight. The safety car is coming in this lap, so we are going to have just the one lap under safety car. Of course, the circuit may have evolved somewhat during this red flag. We saw brief rainfall. The circuit may have been cleaned up slightly by that, and the grip levels may have changed as well, so it'll be an interesting return to racing, I think. The circuit looks dry. I don't think we're going to see much in the way of significant grip change, but there might be something just enough to catch someone out if they're pushing it to the limit, and of course those curbs might be a little bit slippery as well. Paint and the grass typically show more signs for longer of a brief rain shower than the tarmac itself. So then we see there the yellow light panels turn green. We are going back to racing. The field wasn't particularly close together, and that is going to allow Yasuhito Fukue to have a decent lead as we return to racing conditions. Yoshifumi Komatsu in second place with Alex Fox all over the back of him. He's got a bit of a gap back to Masaharu Katsumata in fourth position. The 488s come across the line almost together. Yusuke Yamaki, points leader, on course to be champion with his Grand Tester Nagano teammate, Michito Hirota, just behind him. But for Yasuhito Fukue, he has resumed the race with a comfortable cushion. He was 2 seconds clear as they came across the start-finish line, which isn't typically how these things go after a safety car restart, but we're a little bit spread out there as the safety car peeled in. So then Yasuhito Fukue can focus forward and not worry about what's going on behind him. No such luxuries for Yoshifumi Komatsu. I think Alex Fox, especially now with Katsumata and Liang Chenyu directly behind him, he will know that he can't take excess risk. Right now he is going to slyly outscore Masaharu Katsumata, but only by 2 points. And if he takes too much risk trying to claim second place, that could fall away from him. And even a 6th, 7th place finish would potentially mean he's no longer the championship leader going into the finale. So it is a fine balance here for Alex Fox. He can't just settle for third because Katsumata is closing in behind him. But equally, he can't really do any excess risk trying to get around Yoshifumi Komatsu. I feel for Alex Fox. He's in a very tricky predicament here in his plain red number 139 car. He was right on the back of Komatsu, but now Katsumata looks to be on the offensive. Fox was a bit slow through the first sector and is now having to defend going into 5, very deep on the brakes, but just about got it stopped for the apex. I think Alex Fox broke as late as he possibly could there without drifting out wide, and it's actually gained him some time there. Those couple of car lengths that he lost, he gained back in just that braking zone. The strengths and weaknesses of the different drivers can sometimes be seen with the naked eye. It's quite fascinating, and it does seem as though Fox really comes into his own here through the twisties from turn 5 onwards. Fox starts to close in on Komatsu ahead of him. We'll see whether he falls off again through the first sector. The lead gap is out to better part of 4 seconds as Fox has a look to the inside, shows the nose but can't get it done. And again, now that he's started attacking Yoshifumi Komatsu, they're slowing each other up, and dutifully here comes Masaharu Katsumata, here comes Liang Chenyu. As a reminder, Fox, Katsumata and Liang Chenyu are not only 3rd, 4th and 5th in the race, but your top 3 in the standings in that order, separated just 9 points between the 3 of them. In Ferrari Challenge Japan, it's 15 for a win, 12 for 2nd, 10 for 3rd, 8 for 4th place, and a 5th place finish will net you 6 points. So with every position would come a couple of points if anyone can make some moves. For Fox, he's trying to gain himself an additional couple of points. Meanwhile, Michito Hirota here, keeping Yusuke Yamaki honest here in the 488 class category. Ferrari 488 Challenge Evos. Looks like Yamaki there was a bit deep into the corner there at turn 6. That's known as Revolver Corner. These two still very close together, but we switch to the battle for 2nd place because Komatsu again feeling the pressure from Alex Fox. Fox again showing the nose at the first corner, but this time didn't seem to cost himself too much time. It seems that Komatsu is a bit more committed through turn 2 specifically. He always seems to gain a little bit of time there, heading up the hill, coming out of turn 2, which is known as Williams, and that fast S-bend, the Moss S at turn 3. It just seems that Komatsu has more speed than Fox, but then Fox seems to nail this section here from the hairpin onwards. And it just ebbs and flows from sector to sector, whether Fox is fighting for 2nd or defending 3rd. Moves don't come easy, of course, when you're racing fairly high downforce GT cars with 700 horsepower. An overtake doesn't come easy, but Fox is certainly putting in his effort to try and do so. Has a little look to the inside here again, and this time he's close enough. Moves in to 2nd place, and he hasn't drifted out too wide there. The first corner, he's been teasing that move for several laps. Oh, and a collision between Katsumata and Komatsu there, and that's going to give an opportunity for Liang Chenyu to make a move for 4th place potentially. He was right on the back there of Katsumata, but there was a stack-up situation there between Komatsu and Katsumata, and both cars thankfully remaining in the correct direction. But Alex Fox has now moved up to 2nd place. Meanwhile, the 488's having a great battle still as well. Yamaki really having to drive through the mirrors thanks to the efforts of Hirota here. Michito Hirota in the 201 car, the 222 driven by Yusuke Yamaki, who is, I remind you, our challenge 488 trophy champion-elect here. It's not Ryuichi Kunihiro. That graphic not quite right. That is Yusuke Yamaki in the 222 car. So battles everywhere you look. As we're now well into the final 10 minutes of the race. Once the clock ticks down to 0, we will do an additional lap of racing here. If you are just joining us and thinking, aren't there usually a few more classes? Well, yes, we have. We've split the races up now. We have 2 races a day. Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli Am and Coppa Shell raced just a couple of hours ago. This is Coppa Shell Am and the 488 class, and it's the 488s giving us a show at the moment as Michito Hirota. Oh, well, I was going to say Hirota was looking to the inside, but Yusuke Yamaki drifts out wide there, was maybe watching the mirrors a little too fervently. And he is digging himself out of the sandpit now and dropped down to second place in the 488 battle. Hirota expertly applying pressure, and that was the net result. Regardless of that, Yusuke Yamaki, so long as he reaches the flag, will still become the 488 champion, which will be our first championship of the 2025 season declared. You see that he is back to speed now in the 222 car, but none of the championships earlier on were decided. Trofeo Pirelli Am and Coppa Shell will all continue into Sunday, as will, as it stands, Coppa Shell Am. Yusuke Yamaki, therefore, will be the only driver currently leading a championship to be able to go into Sunday just for the fun of it, not having to worry about doing maths at 250 kilometers an hour anymore. Alex Fox has firmly driven away now from this battle for third overall. 6 seconds clear he is now. Bear in mind how recently he got past Komatsu. You saw their fastest lap of the race, which is noteworthy, of course, because it does give him an extra championship point as well. Alex Fox is doing a wonderful job, and right now he's actually closing in at a rate of knots over our race leader, Yasuhito Fukue. Last time by, he was 2/3 of a second faster. And Alex Fox is shrinking that gap sector on sector. Just a few hundredths gained in the final sector, but across the lap, he was 2/3 of a second faster. So Alex Fox may yet challenge for the race win here. Representing the Yanase Fiorano Moturi dealership. 7.8 clear now of Yoshifumi Komatsu, who was ahead of him 10 minutes ago, less than. Incredible stuff from Alex Fox. Again, he came into Ferrari Challenge Japan this year as something of a known commodity, and look, you can see there, lap 13, when he got past, suddenly he was lapping a good couple of seconds faster. Once he got into clear road, Alex Fox put the hammer down. also lapping quite quickly is Takeshi Shigaki. He's the only other driver in the 133s. He's down in 8th place, of course, having dropped the rear of the field upon the resumption of the race. What about this man, Yoshifumi Komatsu? Can he continue to make the car wide and hold off the ever more keen Masaharu Katsumata? Katsumata will be aware that Alex Fox is way too far ahead now to try and hunt him down for second place, but of course at the moment Fox is set to outscore Katsumata by 4 points, which would double his advantage in the championship over Katsumata from 4 to 8. If Katsumata can at least narrow the gulf in points between himself and the Frenchman Alex Fox, then that will be beneficial. Fox came in, as I said earlier on, as a known commodity, a former champion in Ferrari Challenge Europe in the Coppa division back in 2020, but plenty of unknown circuits, tracks that he hadn't seen or driven before, and yet he has thrived. Two and a half minutes left on the clock. Last time by, Alex Fox was actually a little bit off the pace, a 1:35.2. He lost 0.7 of a second to Yasuhito Fukue, which leads me to believe that either he's made an error or maybe he's taken a bit too much out of the tyres, something like that. These are fairly durable Pirelli P0s, though. I'd be surprised if it was that. I think more likely he may have just had a momentary error, but either way the gap is now 4.7 seconds at the front. Continue to watch 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, all in one long queue. Mention that Takeshi Shigaki was lapping quickly. He's now got the fastest lap of the race, which means he's taken a point away from Alex Fox, who was previously the fastest lap holder. The team will be on the phone, or on the radio, to Alex Fox and saying, you're not got the fastest lap point anymore, we need you to hustle. Takeshi Shigaki is hustling. He's got himself past Satoru Kaku there for 7th place. Shigaki, who missed the memo to come to pit lane under red flag and dutifully dropped down to the rear of the field as something of a slap on the wrist. He's now making his way back through, see if he can make any more ground up. In what remains of this race, we've got effectively 2 laps to go this time by. With less than a minute on the clock. The clock will hit 0 on this upcoming lap, and from there we'll do an additional lap to conclude the race. Looks like we have slowing there. Takashi Kurakawa, he allows Shigaki through. Also, Liang Chen-yu is looking feisty here, up against Masaharu Katsumata for 4th place. A few drivers there a little bit out of the saddle, it seemed, in the first few corners of that lap. Oh, and straight on almost there goes Komatsu. He just about keeps it on the tarmac, but I thought he'd gone too deep into the turn momentarily there. Yasuhito Fukue now has a fairly comfortable lead at the front of the field. It doesn't look like Alex Fox is going to get there. He was briefly making inroads in a significant rate, but you'll see here the gap, 5.3 seconds, dropping down to 4.8 on that lap, but Fox is not going to be close enough. I think fourth place in particular remains up for debate. Komatsu has ever so slightly gapped Katsumata, and Liang Chen-yu there having to chop the nose off a charging Takeshi Shigaki. Shigaki was having a little look to the inside, a lunge to the inside. And while I'm sure there was a collective intake of breath in their respective garages, thankfully both continue on their way. And of course for Liang Chen-yu, it's imperative that he scores those points to stay in the championship hunt. He's running third in the championship, 9 points off Alex Fox coming into this race. That gap is going to expand. For Alex Fox, second place will certainly be more than enough to expand his lead. His championship lead set to double here. For Yasuhito Fukue, who will fall out of even mathematical contention here. It doesn't matter though, because he is going to come across the line, and for the first time in Ferrari Challenge Japan, he will be a race winner in Coppa Shellam, thanks to the split grid, an overall race winner as well. Congratulations, Yasuhito Fukue. Alex Fox with an admirable run to second position. Komatsu holds on to third place, Katsumata fourth. Where is Liang Chen-yu? Liang Chen-yu has not come across the line fifth. He has come across the line in eighth position even. There's been drama at the end on the final lap here for Liang Chen-yu. Here is Hirota, who leads in the 488 Challenge Evo class. He will solidify his grasp on second in the championship, of course. The other competitors missing, but for the driver behind him, Yusuke Yamaki, we are going to see the crowning of a champion. Hirota will come across the line here to win in the 488 Challenge Evo class, but behind him, Yusuke Yamaki will wrap up the championship for these cars. Here comes Yamaki through the final corner, and upon receipt of the checkered flag, Yamaki becomes the 2025 Ferrari Challenge Japan 488 Challenge Evo class champion. Good effort from him all season long. He was actually in a 296 car at the start of the year for the Japanese Grand Prix season opener, switched back to the 488 for the rest of the year, and is now a champion. I'm sure there is a big smile in the cockpit of the 101 car. Yasuhito Fukue, who was racing previously, has done some GT racing before coming to Ferrari Challenge Japan. But this is his first season with us in this series. He has been impressive at times, has got himself some podiums, but this is his first win in the Shellam category. And uniquely for this season with the split grid, he's also an overall race winner as a result. Glory then for Yasuhito Fukue. Some fairly relaxed body language in that cockpit, but let's see if it maybe starts to hit him as he gets out of the car and sees his team. plaudits received then from Yasuhito Fukue, and applause from his rivals as well. Looks like a happy man. There's the 488 winning car from today's race, the 201 car from Gran Testa Nagano's stable. I believe his first season, not just with us in Ferrari Challenge Japan. I don't believe Hirota has done any racing before. Behind him, you see Yamaki there out of the car. I'm sure the team will let him know. That's it, you're champion in the 488 class. Of course, the 488 now as a platform, almost a decade old. The Evo kit came about 5 years ago. We see Michito Hirota there celebrating his win and heading towards Yamaki to pass on his well wishes. But the 488 still a fabulous machine and has certainly served Ferrari Challenge well globally over the last decade or so. So then the cars being pushed back into their boxes. Of course, the drivers will be hurried as best they can be to the podium for presentations. As we get a look back here at some of the highlights from the race. Of course, it was our pole sitter, the 116 car of Hiroyasu Sahara, that was the early leader of the race. Would unfortunately not stay out there in the lead, though, with an incident that caused a red flag. Once we got back to green flag, though, it was Yasuhito Fukue at the front. The 488s had a great battle as well. Yusuke Yamaki unfortunately drifted out wide, but he still got to the flag and won his championship. However, for Yasuhito Fukue, it was a great race, a great run to the checkered flag. Was coming under some pressure, or at least seeing an ever closer car in the mirrors from Alex Fox, who at one time was gaining tenths per sector. It did seem that Fox started to ease out of it a little bit rather than pushing madly towards the end of the race. Alex Fox, as we've alluded to, has won championships before. He's raced in Ferrari Challenge now for a number of seasons. I suspect there was an element of knowing to keep the powder dry and not taking excess risk where it wasn't necessary. So the drivers will be heading towards the podium overlooking the main straight here. I think we're a few moments away from seeing the ceremonies. Of course, 2 podiums to come for Coppa Shalam and indeed for the 488 class in this, our second race of the day at Okayama for Ferrari Challenge Japan. We will be celebrating the results here in just a second. will be our overall top three, our Coppa Am top three that join us first. I think we've got all three down there by the sounds of it, but just making sure everyone's ready to go, I think, up there. In the green room, in the cool down room. Of course, at the start of the year, that was one of the great delights for our drivers that they were in the F1 cool down room at the Japanese Grand Prix. I remember in 2024 last year when we also supported the Japanese Grand Prix in Ferrari Challenge Japan. Friend of the category, Akita, so happy to be on the overall podium, to get the opportunity to stand there at the Japanese Grand Prix. And then when he saw he was being ushered into the F1 green room, where we often see the top three in a Grand Prix debriefing the race that was, he started singing the Formula One theme tune, perhaps just on muscle memory alone. Really exciting to be there on that big stage. Of course, that's not just to be at the Japanese Grand Prix weekend, but also to be at Suzuka. Arguably the most historically significant track, along with Fuji, in Japan. Of course, this is our final weekend of the season in Ferrari Challenge Japan, but a great number of our drivers, I believe, will be at Finale Mondiali at Mugello in October. And around that time, we should also find out our 2026 calendar for Ferrari Challenge Japan. Here comes our top three. Yoshifumi Komatsu to the third step off the podium. Alex Fox, the Frenchman, championship leader, with an extended lead. Alex Fox to the second step, and here is our winner, Yasuhito Fukue.
そして優勝されました福井康人選手が所属されておりますディーラーコーンズ芝様へはコッパディーラー賞が授与されます。おめでとうございます。どうぞ2位表彰台のところにお立ちください。おめでとうございます。それではコッパシルアマクラスのプレゼンター
the dealer representative from Fukue's Cornish Shiba team, also on the podium alongside the three drivers. Now let's see presentations to our top three drivers.
見事表彰台獲得。小松義文選手おめでとうございます。そして第2位は後方からものすごい追い上げも見せてくれました。
Alex Fox receives his second position trophy.
そして初優勝になります。本当に嬉しい初優勝。
There's your winner, Yasuhito Fukue, with his Shellam winning trophy. And he will also receive the gentleman class trophy as well, which typically you get the gentleman class driver joining the overall podium in Coppa Shellam, but today he's won both. Coppa dealer win, of course, for Cornes Shiba, and that will help them in the Coppa dealer championship as well. I alluded to the fact that Cornes Shiba were second in the points, just 2 points back from Emoto Italia, and I think that with this result, with a full 15 point from the Coppa Shellam division, I think that Cornes Shiba will Coppa dealer going into the last day of the season.
はい、それではですね、オフィシャルカメラマンによります写真撮影、プレゼンターの方もまずはお入りください。オフィシャルカメラマンの撮影となります。そしてドライバーの方のみの撮影を行わせていただきます。
The three drivers pose for the pictures. Next step involves a bottle, a cork, and potentially some wet racing suits.
はい、シャンパンファイトになります。シャンパンの準備をよろしくお願いします。やりたかったという嬉しいですね。いや、見事なレースでしたよ。
Alex Fox wins the cork race by quite a margin as well, I must say. Our championship leader, Alex Fox, his points advantage will have extended. He'll need to finish strongly though tomorrow to secure that title. With Masaharu Katsumata and Liang Chenyu hunting him down. Liang Chenyu with the disappointment in that race. How many points will he score? I believe he'll only score 60 points. While Alex Fox will have scored 12, so I think actually Liang Chenyu might be mathematically out of the championship after losing places there on the final lap. So I think it does actually come down to just Fox and Katsumata on Sunday in the championship. Liang Chenyu, to my reckoning, will be 20 points back with 17 left to score. So yeah, Liang Chenyu, unfortunately, after having a really strong season, guided by his driver coach Yudai Uchida, I think he's going to have to settle for not being in championship contention on the final day of the year. Here is our new Ferrari 488 Challenge Evo class champion in Ferrari Challenge Japan, the man in the purple suit, Yusuke Yamaki, but Michito Hirota, the race leader, the race winner today in the 488. Both drivers, though, are from the Grand Testa Nagano dealership, and so the dealer representative is really there for both of them.
Ferrari Japan 株式会社代表取締役社長ドナート・ロマニエッロ様、よろしくお願いいたします。それでは2位の選手からトロフィーをお渡しください。最後の最後まですごいバトルが展開されました。488クラス第2位山木陽介選手、そして見事優勝広田道人選手、おめでとうございます。
And Hirota received their trophies. Michito Hirota, a race winner for the first time this season, had 2 second places at Fuji. But here he is as a winner. Receives the Pirelli Award as well, since this is a Trofeo Pirelli class for the 488 Challenge Evos. They will pose for pictures. The slightly better dressed individuals after the pictures will run away, and then the champagne will be sprayed in celebration for Hirota and the new champion of Trofeo Pirelli 488, that being Yusuke Yamaki. I see there down at the pit wall we saw Motohiko Isosaki of Cornish Shiba giving congratulations to his friends who aren't from the same team stable, but great to see Motohiko down there cheering on the other drivers from the second race, and doesn't surprise me, Isosaki is a lovely guy. Here's the big champagne spray then. They were wheel to wheel earlier on, they're bottle to bottle now. And they'll get the opportunity to go racing tomorrow, of course, without the championship on the line. Yamaki has sewn that up. For everyone else, though, for the Coppa Am drivers who share this grid with the 488, and for our other grid for Trofeo Pirelli Am and Coppa Shell, there is still a championship in the balance. Make sure you join us in less than 24 hours' time for our pair of races in Ferrari Challenge Japan that will determine 2025 champions in 4 of our classes.